call the meeting to order. I see that we have quite a few guests here today, and I would like to say you're welcome. And if you would like to say something during the meeting, you're also welcome. But I would like to limit the time for the guests to 2 minutes per person because of obviously we know we always run over time, and I'm trying to not to have that happen today. So that being said, as usual, first thing I would like to have the minutes from last meeting ratified by you guys. We have a hand.
I was looking at the minutes, and it says that after the announcement of the results, Addie Gordon from Art History put the motion on the table, and after looking at the video, it was Andrew Vegas that put the motion on,
Okay.
and that's continued for the next couple of minutes.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out. I remember that as well. So if you could and then make that correction. Anything else? Any corrections in addition? Discussion?
I move to approve the minutes
Yes.
with the corrections.
Sorry?
Can we can I put a motion to approve
Yes,
the minutes
please.
with the corrections that she noted?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay. Motion to have the minutes approved with the correction of seconded by Caroline. Any objections? Seeing none, minutes have been approved. All right. So first thing on my agenda today is the OC. We had a meeting yesterday with Brian from Ballot. He's the director of transportation and parking service at Binghamton. He's new to his position, and we had, as we know, at previous meetings, we had some students raising issues about overcrowding situations and unruly behaviors of OCCT bus lines. And we had a meeting with Brian to discuss this issue, and we also asked whether there's any communication between OCCT and BC Transit to avoid overlapping schedules and to better utilize the resources. And we also asked what our $90 per student transportation fee goes to every year. So basically, he said they are very aware of this situation and they are taking it seriously. And mainly, they are doing two things. They are doing two things. Number one, they're asking two questions. Number one, how to manage that area better. The area where overcrowding and unruly behavior occur. And how to accommodate the ridership better at peak hours. And more specifically, he said more buses are on the road than ever. However, due to damage to the buses and DOT of the buses, they don't always have enough spare buses to accommodate their need during the peak hour. And also, another thing they are doing is they are planning to send staff to keep orders of certain spots during peak hours. And also, in terms of a communication between the university and the BC Transit, Brian is meeting with BC Transit next week. About the transportation fee, the $90 per student transportation fee, Brian said some of it goes to signing contract with OCCT, some of it goes to signing contract with BC Transit, and some of it goes to purchasing more buses. And that is on top of the $16 per student out of our graduate student activity fee. If you don't already know, we pay $90 per. If you're full-time students, we pay $90 per student. So that is it. And next thing on my agenda is the library renovation project. This Monday we had a focus group to answer the questions we discussed at our last meeting with the library staff. And I'm going to go through all answers very quickly with you guys here. If you are not happy with some of the answers, or if you have any more suggestions, feel free to say it or email me. We are scheduling a meeting with the library staff in the coming few weeks. So, first question, do we want collaborative space in the graduate space? The answer is no, because it would take too much space and there are group study rooms available to be reserved in the library. And question number 2, do we want a faculty access? The answer is no. Question number 3, how many printers do we want? 2. Number 4, what size study space for an individual is ideal? Answer is there should be 2 sizes for the tables without desktops. It should be approximately 4 feet wide and 2 feet deep. And for those with desktops, 4 feet wide and 3 feet deep. Question number 5. Electricity is potentially an issue. Do we want immobile furniture with a central power station? The answer is yes. The layout can be similar to the current library printing space. And now question number 6. Do we want to install a booth or 2? The answer is yes, just a couple of booths so that this won't take up too much space away from study space. And question number 7, do we want computers? The answer is yes, we want a 6 stationary computer as well as 1 to 2 express printing. And question number 8, do we want cubbies? The answer is no, since it's too labor intensive on the library staff. And number 9, do we want scanners and color printing? The answer is yes. Yes to the scanner. 1 will be okay, but no, color printing is not necessary. Last question, what kind of lounge furniture do we want? The answer is we would like to have comfy chairs, we would like to have a couple of comfy couches if it doesn't take too much space. And we also made a list of essential items we would like the space to have. And they are printers, scanners, a decent table size, desktops for work and express printing, surge protected power outlets, USB plugs, whiteboard paint on the wall. And we have 2 items on our wish list, colored hooks and a bulletin board. So if you have any suggestions or if you have different ideas and you want to talk more about it, feel free. Moving on to my last thing on my agenda, I have a very quick announcement to make concerning the graduate student involvement for the spring 2016 commencement. So currently the university is still in bad need for volunteers, and the commencement would take place Friday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, May the 20th to May the 22nd. They need a lot of volunteers. Those who volunteer would get a university polo shirt, and they would have breakfast and lunch. And also those who volunteer for 2 or more than 2 ceremonies would be able to enter for drawings. And according to the number of ceremonies they are volunteering, that for example, if they volunteer for 3 ceremonies, they would be entering for 3 drawings, and the prizes is to be determined. And that is it. Moving on to Vice President's report.
All right, thank you. So Anand, the office manager, sent out the bylaw proposals to the senators. This will be the first item I talk about. Seinan, GSO treasurer, submitted a few bylaw proposals to the CBC committee. As per their recommendation, they've had the following suggestions. So, just to be clear at the outset, we're not voting on this now. You're gonna bring this to your departments to discuss whether they agree or disagree or would like to see things change. Then we would vote on it, and the senators would vote on it at the next Senate meeting, just to say that off the bat and everything. So the first thing is in Article 6 of the bylaws, finances, page 8, section 2. This is the reallocation of funds, and I'll have Seinan jump in at any point, or the CBC committee if things are unclear, need further explanation. But the first one is about removing the cap of how much a sub-organization can to allocate to another sub-organization. So at the moment, it's 20% of their budget. The suggestion is that we don't want to cap at all, that there can be any amount that can be allocated. So currently the proposed change reads as is: sub-organizations shall have the power to reallocate a portion of their budget to other sub-organizations, subject to the approval of the GSO treasurer. So currently, what it states is 20%. You can only donate or allocate up to 20% upon approval of the GSO treasurer. But under the recommendation to the CBC committee, we want to remove that cap.
What is the leading logic behind this removal? Like, what prompted this?
So like this year, in the case of the management department, they have more money anticipated for their entire year's spending. Jamie's here. So they're very willing to do more co-sponsoring for other groups' activities. But if there's this 20% limit there, they can do only 20% of their total budget. Even if they want to contribute more and other groups make more, they can do that according to the bylaw.
So this
This is just to
current
make
app
the fund.
even goes for co-sponsored funds, where the principal sponsor is another group. I see.
And these aren't set in stone, so if you have recommendations on adjusting this, we can do that. Okay, so I'll move on to the next one. It's in Article 7, the GSCTRF funds, and it's, so this is in regard to actually having in the bylaws of the 30-day application deadline to turn in your funds. Currently, only the application itself has it, but we want to make sure it's in the bylaws itself. So, under the CBC's recommendation, this would be an added point, so it would be C, which is not currently in the bylaws at all. In the case of an event, applications for the GSCTRF F must be submitted within 30 days of the final day of the event you are applying for reimbursement. This time frame does not apply to applications for research funding. So this is just to put in place in the bylaws that there's actually a deadline to the funds to apply for.
The wording for the actual deadline might change, because I've seen applicants, they might stay, like linger for another 2 or 3 days to network or to have some fun there. They are not asking that portion's hotel or everything expense, they were just there. So in this kind of case, I feel more comfortable to set like which day will start to count the 30-day as their last airfare ticket or bus ticket date on it. I feel that might be more accurate and more practical.
Any other comments?
On that, the CBC committee discussed that issue as well, and we were torn in some ways and recommended the current wording that Ben has proposed, because we want to make sure that it's tied to the event itself and deal with that issue of people returning later if they choose to stay at a location perhaps for an extra few days. And we don't want to we want to ensure that we're not covering any of the incurred expenses as a result of that longer layover in the conference location.
So speaking from the perspective of someone on the budget committee and processing these forms, that wording doesn't really work very well in the context of actually doing the job of processing the forms, because we also give money for research travel, and so you can't peg research travel to like these specific days. You can only peg it to travel. So as far as creating one unified rule, it's definitely better to peg it to travel than to peg it to a conference dates. And additionally, we already actively address what you're talking about, where we address things like if you stayed in a hotel beyond the dates of the conference, we don't use that. We actively release that.
That's not delineated in the bylaws, nor, and in the proposed change, it explicitly indicates that that rule does not apply to research, funds requested for research.
It seems to me like it's better to make one rule than to make a rule with an exception.
Anything else? And then the last one is same article, and that's section 3. So this was dealing with, and correct me if I'm wrong here, trying to ensure that students aren't double dipping when they are applying for funds. And so right now, currently, we're kind of going on a trust thing that we're trusting students to speak up and be honest with us. St. Ann and the budget committee, I do believe, contacts you to make sure certain things are right or inaccurate or these sorts of things. So what would change here is money shall be awarded after the event. No grant shall exceed 60% of the expenditure that is unfunded by other resources at the time of the grant is awarded. All right, so
So basically, we cover the part that caused financial distress for you. If you are, so the calculation is more tricky. We will further develop on that, and hopefully we can present it on the next Senate meeting.
yeah. But this is trying to ensure that there's not double dipping going on, more or less. Again, that's almost impossible to completely prevent, but we're trying to put measures in there so it's not happening. Anything else? Okay, all right, thank you. So the final point for mine is the Employment and Labor Committee is going to be hosting a rally next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Promoting the Equal Pay, Equal Work Initiative. We're going to have it at 3 p.m. so the Sodexo workers can come out, and the organizations that supported the Sodexo workers will also be joining us. So we will hope you guys will join us, promote this within your departments. And we'll be passing out buttons and shirts for you all. Okay? And the GSO did not pay for those shirts or buttons, so don't get all worried about that. Yeah, spread the word. We'll be sending out flyers and everything else. Any other comments on that?
3 p.m. what?
Tuesday? Oh, where?
Next Tuesday?
Yeah, we'll meet right out here.
Thank you.
Any comments on that? Okay, I'm done.
Cool. Moving on to,
I'm here, I don't have anything.
oh, okay, great. Sam, do you have anything?
I don't have anything.
All right, so, moving on to treasurer's report.
Okay, so first of all, I have a super good news to announce. There's actually introduced the unspent fund balance of GSCTI from last year. It can be rolled over to this year's expenditure. I've confirmed this with the accounting services, and they say it's doable. Just we need to document this action in our e-board meeting and also the Senate meeting. So for this year, the GSCTRF balance is $482.76. So probably from next week's GSCTRF approval, we will have to utilize the money left in the previous year's balance. I think I wrote the number on the agenda. It's 12,670. Yes. So that will alleviate our emergent problem we're facing with this account, because we do have more than we can cover for this year. So next, if you can check your email for the latest attachment sent from Anat, because I printed this out and I found I made a mistake on the headcount number, so a lot of things are not correct. Again, like what I told you last time, our net increase in our total revenue will be 7,844. That's the anticipated. And we will have to decide on three major parts. That first is the OCCT, and the second is the departmental, and third, I'm thinking about, because last time I wrote to increase the GSCTRF fund to 42,000, and I'm thinking now to raise this number to 44,000, given on the bylaw statement that we can actually utilize the unspent balance from last year's GSCTRF. So even though if we have, say, 3,000 left in the account balance, that can be a contingent plan for our next year's budgeting. We probably can budget next year's lower if we feel that this 3,000 can save next year's GSCTRF. So I think to raise the GSCTRF to 44,000 is a fair game. Regarding the LCCT one, I strongly suggest we keep the total contribution at 57,584 as we are doing now for this year, without the ridership data support. If we are to raise, if we're to maintain the per capita contribution total at $16 per full-time headcount, this total will cost us a 2,976 increase for this OCCT account alone. And because I have a hinge from what I have at my hand now, all the departments' spending is doing pretty good. I can feel that many of you are saving for your big event at the end of the academic year, probably. So I don't want to lower the per capita allocation to the departmental allocation total. So if we are to maintain the per capita allocation at $19.57, as we were doing now, we will have a you can see at the very bottom of the okay, so if we're to maintain the per capita total at this level, we will have an increase of 2,544 for our total departmental allocation. If we're to increase this to $19.80, it will cost an increase of $3,402 increase. If we're to raise this to $20, it will cost a $4,148 dollar increase to the total. So right now we need to determine how much we want to contribute to OCCT first, and then GSCTRF, and then we can because the rest will roll into the departmental total pool, and we can further discuss how we want to allocate like within the among departments. I think we need more time to discuss on that. Anybody has any questions?
I have just a general question about the busing. So the university transportation fee covers the city buses, and then the GSO covers the OCCT or whatever?
No.
Is it, I don't think it's
The
really small.
parking and transportation fee covers both OCCT's contract and the Maryland Transit Authority's contract, as well as maintenance and other types of things.
Buying buses.
And so when we met with them yesterday, yeah, and all the OCCT buses are owned by the university, they buy them. But, what was I gonna say? Oh, when we met with them yesterday, I tried to get details on how much of that $90 fee goes towards each kind of pile of money. And I did not get, we didn't have any success determining how that money is being spent.
Yeah, they just gave us very general answer as, you know, they just told us it went to these 3 parts, but they did not give us any specific number percentage.
No, yeah, that's the GSO. That's in the GSO. I just looked at the bill.
No,
I'm
that's
sorry.
the
No,
activity,
that's
that's the transportation fee.
Oh,
That
that is-
has
okay, that
nothing
is
to
the
do with
transportation.
activity fee.
Okay, okay.
So what is the $60 fee for in GSO? Sorry.
It's the
It's for anything outlined in the budget. I don't know if that helps. But like, you can look at our whole budget and see how much money we brought in and how it's
If
being spent.
we pay the $90 already, why do we need to pay it through GSO as well, is my question.
Right, because the university will not fund OCCT entirely. So the OCCT gets money from the university through the contract, but most of their budget for running and operations comes from the student association for the undergraduate government and the graduate student organization.
right, and also in the bylaw, real quick, if you read the bylaw, even though we won't have any activity fee revenue for the next year or 2, we will still do the OCCT contribution. And plus
So-
our administrative.
Is this OCCT contribution mandated by the OCCT at a certain level? Because if I understood your earlier comment, you were talking about increasing it, but
We're not.
They make a request for how much money they
Yes.
want, and we kind of play with that and try to somewhat meet their expectations.
and what is
They
the,
came last week and the girl said that grad students pay $16, undergrads pay $32 per semester.
okay.
And currently, yes, they probably will reduce
They
the
probably shut down
routes and stuff.
Others in the undergraduate student actually pay university. So basically university makes money based on undergraduate student, not graduate student. So do you really think that if you don't pay OCCT, they're going to shut down everything?
This is a historical question, and we haven't been around long enough, but the word on the street is you used to only pay like $6, and now we pay this amount because the university cut funding to OCCT. But this is irrelevant.
But you do realize that OCCT is a student-run organization,
Yeah,
it doesn't
exactly,
belong to the school.
yeah. But
Well, we can't really answer for that because it really is up to OCCT, BOD, Board of Directors. But right now they are planning to be short of funding already, and we are already paying half as much of the undergraduate students, and if we just don't pay them at all, I would think it's natural they would, reduce their service.
But right
They've been
now,
reducing-
That's $56,000 that you're going to be denying to the organization.
They've been reducing service.
going to lose everything.
They've been reducing service since the year I came here. This is my 5th year. They've been reducing service every year. The buses are more crowded. Now we can argue against them to increase their services if we're going to increase the fee for it. We could definitely argue that point. But to argue that if you completely remove everything, with our fees already going up and then reducing service, that nothing's gonna happen to the service and it won't be drastically cut down. That doesn't make sense from my past work, honestly.
The other side of that is if you choose to withdraw funds from GSO sources, they could choose to limit the access to graduate students. They could say, hey, you know what, you can only ride once a month.
Yeah, and also they can add graduate
Or not at all.
pay that instead
So-
of paying GSO and then we pay for it. They can exactly directly ask the student, graduate student to pay them.
Okay.
So,
We have more comments.
I have a dumb question. Just real on basic level. Why not just pay for bus ride?
yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying.
And you may have a good answer for that, so I'm just asking an honest question. Because I lived in Denver for the summer roads bus, and I paid the bus for bus ride. But I'm a graduate student that does not ride the bus. I live too close to campus. So, I mean, again, it's just one of those things. And I can see you're feeling defensive. It's just an honest question, like, why? You know?
Jim, you
But
have
I
an
don't feel like
answer?
giving an answer.
Yeah, the reason why they can't do that is the systems that they have to register people getting on the bus are not very accurate. So they don't have a system in place where they can say, you've ridden the bus 8 times, pay us the money. The other problem is, it's gonna be hard for them to, you're gonna have to get the administration on board, because what happens if I ride the bus, I just never pay them? Well, the only thing they can do is warn me from getting my transcript, if they have to go through the university to do that.
But if you got like a coin slot or something, I'm thinking like the way city buses tend to run, at least.
I mean, it's an option, and I'm sure they'd be interested in hearing it, but the other problem is, you know, they're getting way more money this year than they got last year, and they're still reducing service. So, my question is like, where is all this money going? To a bunch of stuff that I guess they don't really need, or maybe they do
You
need,
mean the
but
bus
like,
people?
yeah,
So you
I mean,
guys should take that up with them, I guess, rather than.
well, that's what we're trying to do,
Okay.
which I think is why people are trying to push not to increase the amount of percentage. But this system that you're talking about would, like, it would require a huge amount of capital for them to put it into place. But
And then
it's
it
an
also
option, I mean,
saves
if people wanna do that, then it's an option. It would also prevent a lot of overcrowding, I think, too, because if people actually have to pay for the bus, they'd probably find another way to get around it. But I don't know how it would work also logistically, because I know that the undergraduate student organization would want to do something like that.
Right.
So like, I guess strategies are different, but, my question is, you know, like I said, you know, they got more money this year than they did in the past. So why are they reducing service if what they're saying is true? And they are reducing service, which I've also seen.
It's not according to them, they have more buses on the
They
road.
have more buses on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they claim.
Yeah, that's what they
Okay.
said, yeah.
I mean, that could very well be the case, I don't know as a bus route, but yeah, I mean, they promised us this rider data shift a long time ago, like over a year ago, and we still haven't gotten it. So until someone can actually tell us that we're using the buses just as much or more than undergraduates, I think it's a little ridiculous. I mean, the $6 per student that you guys quoted from the past, it wasn't a per student fee. It used to be the GSO put a lump sum into OCCT. So when you split it amongst the student population, it worked out to something like $6 per student. They complained they wanted it per student, so we did that for them. We more than doubled the amount of money we were giving them, and we're still having all these issues with them. I think it would send the wrong message to them if we increased the amount of money we were giving them overall.
That was the, yeah, thank you. That was what the treasurer was talking about earlier.
There's questions on that.
That gets back to my original question. So, what are they mandating? Like, what did they come to you guys and say, this is how much we want? Because right now, there's, on the budget that I was just forwarded, it's a $60,560 fee, right? Is that what they're asking, and we have room to maneuver? Is that what you guys are proposing as an alternative to theirs? Because that would give us, right now, I'm a little uncertain, like, what they are demanding from you, and what are our various alternatives to put into place as a counter to that?
I think I can answer that question.
Thank you.
Briefly, I wanted to respond to specifically what you were saying. there are two really good reasons to not do what you're proposing. One, public transit is a general good in terms of mass benefits, in terms of using infrastructure more efficiently, and climate emissions and things like that. But in addition to that, just less traffic on the road for you to deal with, the more people ride the bus. And if you put coin slots on that bus, I almost guarantee that parking on campus is gonna become a lot more competitive really quickly.
Maybe not, because I took the bus in grad school the last time, and it was not, there was no system in place like we have here at Binghamton, but I left my car parked and gladly took the bus. So don't, I hear what you're saying, but don't underestimate, like, people's good intentions, because I think the number of students will
I will dismiss my answer.
Okay, fair enough.
The other really good reason is that, even though it seems kind of silly that we have these two separate fees that are really for the same thing, we only have control over the GSO contribution. So basically, if we eliminate the GSO contribution, the most likely thing that's going to happen is the other fee is just going to go way up to compensate. And that has been the ethos of the treasurers for the last couple of years. So we could try and play hardball, but there's a very good chance we will lose. And there's a very good chance that we will lose all control we currently, like now we can negotiate, that's why we're having this discussion. We lose that power if we eliminate this fee. Now to answer your question specifically, it was a year ago that they really came and made any kind of real demand.
I see that there's a 60.
Right, you see the big jump in between the
63% increase, yeah.
Right, so that was because they came to us and said, you guys aren't paying enough, this is untenable, like, we need you to pay more money, because comparatively, you're paying so much less. So that was the only time that I know of, having been on the budget committee for the last 2 years, that they ever came to us and made any specific demand. So we're not responding to a demand that they made this year. We're just deciding whether to maintain the status quo from last year. So we
Which
can.
would be 75,584.
Right.
But on the budget, there's, oh, yeah, sorry,
Whatever.
57,000. But, and so, one of the options that you guys are proposing right now is a net increase of $2,976
Right.
to give them an extra, like,
So that is
2-3%.
That's basically, we call it like where we're multiplying, we're giving this much per person, then we multiply that by the total number of graduate students. And so of course the number of graduate students goes up, our total
Okay.
budget goes up. So we're not actually trying to increase it, we're trying to keep it kind of the same.
So the percentage is remaining constant
but-
from this
right.
year to the next year.
So that's the proposal, to give them more money, but we're pretty pissed off at them, for not doing any of the things that they said they were gonna do. So the alternative proposal is to freeze it at the current value, so that it will be less money proportionally, but, it's their own fault for not
Yeah.
having their shit together. I mean, that's my perspective. So
That was a
that's,
lecture as to
right,
what
that's what
George
we're really trying to decide on right here, so that we can get the budget ratified and just get it done.
Can we ask for like an accounting balance sheet? Do they provide that to the treasurer, like something? Can we ask for an in detail, like itemized list of expenses and say that we won't really come to a decision or reach your demand? Like we'll consider your demand if you actually give us an itemized list. Otherwise,
It's not
They're
a
not
demand.
making a demand,
It's
that's
not
what
a
we're
Oh, sorry, yeah,
We have to
itemized
decide
request.
effectively
You're not
how we're
requesting.
gonna allocate our budget for next year. And we're deciding if we're going to maintain the amount that we're paying per student, or if we're gonna slightly lower it, so that the overall number we're giving to OCCT is gonna stay the same. They don't come to us every year and ask us for money. It's already assumed out of our budget that we're gonna give it to them. So the only thing that would cause like a dialogue to occur between us is if we decide we're not gonna pay you guys, and they're gonna come to us and be like, what's going on? Like, why are you not paying us?
Right. And we had that person come last week to really explain their side of things, and so, but unless we take action, you're very much right that they pretty much ignore us. But they made an effort, they sent somebody to come talk to us, and she did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
So, like, they're trying to get their stuff together, but they have a lot of problems of their own.
Trying to show that if students don't pay that money, they are going to use OCCT. and the Filipinos are using their service. But we know that that's not true. So I'm trying to say that don't put something that you are not sure in your advertisement or everything that you are going to post it online for this election, reporting.
How about there's a possibility that OCCT services will be diminished to enough to affect
No,
council?
we have a contingency budget,
general
OCCT will be fully funded next time by next year by OCCT.
Yeah,
By the
exactly.
GSO regardless of what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
So it does, like, the question that we're answering right now is how much do we want to give to OCCT?
0.
But that's not really,
I
Well,
would
he's
like to
making
make a
a
motion.
that's not part of the debate. The budget committee is
make a
You
determining
can't make a
something.
motion, someone else has got it.
No, I would.
Oh, you are, okay.
Yes. I would like to make a motion that states that we retain the 2015-2016 value of $57,584 for the 2016-2017 academic year.
Without adjusting it for.
Second.
Can I have a name and department?
We have a
Without
second.
That's,
Name and department.
that's
Okay,
Jeremy
any
from
other
Political
objections?
Science.
I personally have listened to the arguments. There seems to be dissatisfaction with how the OCCT has handled the increased amount of money until I would argue that there is at least some value to retaining the current amount until we see a marked improvement in the services offered. From the description that the GSO e-board gave to their meeting with the OCCT leadership, there was not, from what I understand, strong plans and strong information about how an increase in the budget would benefit us. So I'm making a motion that we retain the current amount.
Okay, your motion has already been seconded by, sorry, your name?
Tim.
Tim. From education. Is there any objections? Okay, seeing none, the motion has been approved.
Okay.
And before we continue, I would like to ask the guests here to, if you want to say something, please say your name and your department, please.
Oh, also, and we sent around the attendance sheet, but I only got the Senate Senator sign-in sheet back. Where is the guest sign-in sheet that was sent along with it? And can it continue moving towards around the room?
Raise your hand
Otherwise,
if you have
keep it
the
there. Otherwise, guests are not allowed to speak. I like that rule.
In the bylaws, because that's, hey, Mr. Sings.
That looks like it.
hasn't.
Is that it, Dave?
I found it.
Good job, guys.
John, you're for that?
Please sign in if you're a kid.
Okay, I'll proceed, right? Okay, so, moving down here, so I've explained, our, administrative total allocation, the, cut and adding, is pretty straightforward here, it's all listed. And then continue on is the, GSC tier F, again, I'm proposing to, moving it up to 44,000. And then down here, preschool. Initially, last time I set to cut this bound to 3,000, but I don't feel that comfortable because for this academic year, the vouching for preschool fund is already done, and we spent 3,700 in this fund. We have like 2,300 left. So I feel the safer budgeting way of dealing with this account is to make it at 3,500. So I added in another 500 into this account. And down here, the last modification is cafe, 1,000 more added in. So I think we need to, anybody has any questions regarding these?
So the amount that we have, the graduate student body has used for the preschool fund is 3,700 roughly?
We have. Let me check the transaction sheet, it's like the balance and the actual voucher number. So the balance is 2,700. We use 3,300.
Okay, 3,300. That's slightly more, yeah.
Yeah.
So we would have, if everything remains constant, a surplus of about $200 to account for increases.
Yeah, with it, those
Okay.
transfer is what we're having now. Yes.
How much is the typical award for the fund?
Preschool.
Yeah.
So the up limit is $150 per child, per semester. So if your parent bringing your kid in, for both semesters, you're getting 300 total. But like, if we have, say, drastically increase in the applicant number, we have 50 people applying for, this, we have to divide the fund total with the number, because I always have to wait until after the deadline to determine how much to grant. If that number is less than 150, then that number is what the applicant is getting.
If it's a maximum of 300, it would be possible that we have someone who, like, that's not a round number. So it would be possible that someone would get funding for 1 year, for one semester and wouldn't get it for another.
There's a very
The
specific
nearest,
way that happens, actually. Their child
Okay.
ages out of the system.
okay, but as it stands, if we have maximum amount and no one ages out of the system, we would still have people who aren't. We would still have a small amount of money.
To make it 3,600.
That was actually what I was gonna recommend, 3,600. 3,600.
Great suggestion.
Just to make sure that no one gets a portion of it.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about this, but 36 sounds like a better number here, which means another 100 added into discount. I will summarize it a little bit. So for all the administrative expenditure, the total will be $1,050 less than what we were spending last year. For the service account, if the GSC Jack is at 44,000 and preschool is at 3,600, the total increase in this account would be 2,600. For the sociocultural organization, this chunk will have 1,000 increase in cafe, and for GBPMA account, that is for our SCMA group's budget, it remains the same, 14,000. So the net change in this account is 1,000. So adding these three parts together, we will have a 2,550 increase comparing to last year. Our total increase in revenue is 7,844, just to remind you, and we're not increasing OCCT. So any increase remaining in this net change will roll into the departmental allocation. And everybody clear on what I just said?
Sort of, just curious, and I was signing when you started talking, so I might have missed some of it, this GSCTRF, what is that?
That is the travel fund we offer to individual students.
I just noticed a big drop in the preschool fund, but, and a huge increase in that, but I guess it's just.
So that was part of what she was talking about earlier, where it's kind of, it's convenient to put money into there, because that's the only fund out of all of them that we actually can access in future years. So
The general funds.
Yeah, from the general fund.
Right,
That's-
so if we put more money into it now, that money, you could then drop it for the next year and access the surplus.
And
It's
there
the
was
only
also-
fund you can do that with.
And the preschool fund didn't get used up all the way through.
Okay.
So it makes sense to take money out of there.
Okay.
But the amount we're cutting it by is less than the total that we spent this year.
Extra money that you guys can work with, that's not making.
So now I have a question for you. Is there a way to change the name of the SCMA account to SCMA?
I will ask the accounting services to do that.
I Should be doable. Okay.
So I guess we'll need to vote on this.
What are we voting on? Sorry, I'm sorry, I had a copy of this.
Okay, so, apart from, because we have to determine everything else to see how much we have for the departmental allocation, and I explained everything apart from the departmental allocation. So we're not giving more money to OCCT, the administrative is like this, and the service account is like this. And everybody else has the sheet I just shared. The only number that will be different is, the principal one, it'll be 3,600 in that.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve this allocation?
I move to approve.
Motion from Tammy, seconded by Caroline Tripp. Is there any objections? Okay, seeing none, the motion has been approved.
Okay, so the last thing is, we have this departmental total, and we need to determine, the way we want to do the departmental allocation. So last time I presented 3 ways of doing that. So the first plan is what we are doing now. We consider full-time students in one department only. The second plan is the equation will be like full-time students plus 30% of part-time students in this department. And the third one is the most accurate one. It's pulled out the part-time students' credit and divided the credit total by 9, and we arrived at a full-time equivalent total for each group and got to the most accurate plan here. So I've been discussing these 3 plans with the budget committee, and the budget committee actually favors the second one, that is the full-time student headcount plus 30% of the part-time students headcount. The reason is that even though the last one is the most accurate one, reflecting the credit registered in each department, the second one can benefit a lot of small groups if you take a closer look at it. Like I highlighted some, maybe not all. So for like anthropology, art history, comparative lit, sociology, trip, these groups can be anticipating a much larger departmental allocation if comparing to the third one, which is the accurate one, I'd call it. Yes.
I have 2 questions. First of all, part-time students, so they pay the same amount of money as the system's full-time students?
So it's charged on like how much credit you're registered. It's charged, the rate is $7.25 if I remember correctly for 1 credit.
So if you charge a part-time student as like 30% of a regular student, my question is, why don't you subtract the fees coming out from part-time students from the total, and then allocate that separate money per department or something like that? Because it just seems like you're correct, there are a lot of departments with a lot of part-time students, but it seems like it's going to end up hurting departments with a lot of full-time students, because the full-time students will effectively be funding another department that just has a lot of part-time students. They're getting underfunded.
That is not really an accurate portrayal of what's here. What you're effectively describing is just the third option, where you accurately count the number of part-time students, and like you actually.
Well, that was per credit, so you could have a lot of full-time students that are overloaded in your department, and you get more money just.
They're not.
No.
You're capped at 9. No
9
one,
credits.
once you're at 9 credits, your fee never goes up. No matter if you take 1 billion credits, your fee would not be higher
Right,
than
right,
someone
but the
taking
third
out.
solution to divide by credits per department will, are you saying like full-time students just automatically cap at 9 in that system?
Yes, in every proposal in all of the systems, that is how it works. That is the system that has always been in place.
So why are some departments having part-time students with more credits than others?
It's just a systematic thing, like departments that tend to have PhD students. Once a PhD student goes ABD, they only take 1 credit. so they tend to have a lot of one credit students. Whereas departments that might have students that are kind of non-traditional, they might only be taking like one class, like one 4-credit class. And so the easiest way to summarize this option number 2 is that it overcounts the 1-credit people and it undercounts the people with intermediate numbers of credits, like generally higher than 3, higher than 30% of 9, I guess is an accurate way of saying it. So, and that's a decision that all of you have the chance to take to your constituents at your meetings over the last 2 weeks to discuss. And that's just the way it plays out is written out on all your sheets to compare the accurate versus estimation. Full-time students is
is
really
getting allocated to the departments currently per full-time student.
Okay, so the calculation, cause for this year, we only consider the full-time student only. So that rate is $19.57 per student.
So theoretically, you could have a student that is only taking a 1 credit's worth of classes, and paying only $7 and change into the system, but actually receiving for that department $30.
No, they receive nothing. Under the current system.
No, under the current system, they receive nothing, but under the 1/3 system, they would be receiving $30 for a student that's only putting $7 into the system.
No, they would be receiving, well, 30% of what the current full-time equivalent is.
$6-7, 19.37, 30%. Is that what? Like
No,
the
what
current?
he's saying is accurate. That person would be
If you're
paying
paying less than $30,
$7.
because you factor the
Yeah.
90 is gonna drop off.
Yeah,
but like,
that's why the
it's
departments have so
effectively-
much variation.
But if you're telling me that if most part-time students are only 1 or 2 credit students, then that's like a huge net loss to departments.
No, the average credits registered by part-time students, according to the vice president's office, is 2.5 to 3 credits.
Yeah, that's how we came to the
You
30%.
can count 3, that's still like $20 versus $30, it's an extra $10 per part-time student that these departments are gonna get, that's effectively gonna end up coming out of, like, my department doesn't have a lot of part-time students.
It shouldn't affect full-time students at all.
Huh?
For example, with management specifically, you can actually compare the 2 proposals and your number is almost the same under the 2 different proposals.
Yeah, under these 2.
That's because it only affects departments that have part-time students. Those that have part-time students that take more than the average number of credits are getting shafted. Those that are taking less than the average number of credits commonly are gonna get more money.
Some part-time students that are taking like 6 or 7 credits.
Exactly, those are the people who are getting undercounted, and people like me who are taking 1 credit are being overcounted.
So are those departments with the part-time students that are taking like more, like pitching in say $36 to the system? Are those departments getting anything currently for those part-time students?
No. Well, I mean, they're getting for their currently no.
They're not getting for the part-time.
Currently no, they're getting less money proportionally than they should be compared to departments that have no part-time, which is why we're trying to correct that ridiculous problem.
Because I just have a hard time believing that our number's gonna be the same, because you're effectively adding more people to split the pie.
Okay,
Yes.
so, no.
No, so your department is gonna go down compared to ignoring part-time students completely.
I
Remember,
was
there are
talking
3
numbers.
proposals.
Right,
So-
but effectively what you're saying is for every 3 part-time students count for 1.
I think Jamie got confused because management and a full-time headcount only, you will get 12,541. And under the second plan, you will get 10,529. And for the third, by the way, I modified a little bit my third chart here because I took out one unnecessary row. So under the third plan, management is getting 10,817.
So that's not a little, I mean, $2,000 is a lot of money.
But that's between
No, no,
one
that's the
is the
full-time only.
full-time
Yeah,
only
that's what
plan.
I'm saying, so I'm
Yeah.
proposing that we don't shift from that plan, that's what
Okay.
I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
We
why we
can
need
vote on
a
that. That's what
discussion
we're
here,
supposed to vote
because
on.
you don't want to change, and some other small groups really want to change.
But
Yes.
effectively, I'm giving the money, like $2,000 to.
No,
other
you're
departments.
losing money that you were getting unfairly in the first place.
I don't think
I can't propose it because I'm not a senator.
Thank you, John.
I just say, this was proposed the last time that we met, because one of the ways which we solved was that departments that have, from many perspectives, a very large budget, right, aren't using it. In fact, one of the changes to the bylaws is that we can't give away as much money as it because it isn't being used.
Right,
And so, and it would go to departments that are often perhaps advantaged who are asking for the money. So I just think that is an argument.
Is there like a budget chart that shows what each department's budget is?
I was offering it to you 10 minutes ago.
It was handed out last week,
three
or last
proposals.
meeting.
You might want to take the last line of the last table, because that's only in the third one, and I just want to make the numbers more comparable, so I took that out on mine.
So
but
these
not on
numbers
yours.
aren't perfectly accurate. They should,
Yeah,
all the
these
numbers in
numbers
the
are not
third
perfect.
columns should be a little bit higher.
So I have another dumb question.
Yes, go ahead.
With this whole business of paying money to the GSO to then give out an allowance, why not just have individual, and again, you guys probably have a good answer to this, but I never understood why I couldn't just, like within my department, if we know we're gonna have activities, it's involving us, contribute a fund to that and have us manage that money on our own, rather than have money taken out of our paycheck by GSO to be distributed.
Well, because the GSO
Okay,
is
speaking
more.
just for the department funds, not the other things.
So the GSO is more than just like the individual activities that you do in your departments.
And also
that's-
doesn't come out of your check.
So the GSO provides the only guarantee for every graduate student for travel money back.
But I'm not talking about that, so the other things like the bus and the travel, I mean, because you guys give us money to use for department activities, right? So why not take less out of our paychecks? And
Again,
let
it
us
doesn't come out of our
use
paycheck.
No.
It comes out of your fees. That thing in your
whatever.
checks is for
Money
the
that I'm
union.
not getting.
Yeah, didn't the graduate student body just vote to defund the GSO, so isn't this an
That's-
entirely hypothetical discussion?
Yes, it is
Yes.
hypothetical, but it needs to happen,
We still
and
have
then
to
we can
do
talk
that.
about the activity fee.
Right.
Because
All the more reason to get it done
administrative
quickly.
costs.
Hold on, Jeremy
Would like to make a motion to vote for the third option. We have polled our members over the last couple weeks. We view that a per credit is most equitable, and so we are in support of the third motion. We encourage other departments to vote with us.
Should we do a roll call on that?
We need a second first.
Okay.
We have a second? Seconded by Andy.
I reject them. Yeah, I object to it.
So the next year's allocation will go by the third then. Alright, that's on that point.
Thank you, Sam. Alright, so moving on to the report of Chief Election Officer.
Huzzah! I know you're all very excited for this. I have handouts for you guys. They're tiny because I'm losing my printing budget. I'll keep one. I made 100. On one side, you'll find, please take one and pass it, a percentage breakdown, a breakdown by percentage of the election results, which were available in print at the end of our last Senate meeting, and a few of you asked for copies. They were also then amalgamated with the minutes from our last Senate meeting and the video which was sent to the senators, and you have access to because of our sunshine policy. With your sub-department representatives, you can always ask for Senate meeting minutes. I don't know if you knew that. And they also have access to our video recordings. And you can always go to the GSO office and ask for official records, Public University. Right? You'll see that I have made an excerpt here, so this isn't all the minutes, but these are the minutes from the elections results, ratification, and motions that came or followed. These were also copied and pasted before these minutes were approved. I'm just letting you know that. On the bottom, then, I've written something, I've copied and pasted again the $65 9-credit hour thing which we just went over. And I've also copied and pasted this from our bylaws that gives every student an opportunity to fill out an application to opt out of your mandatory or voluntary, or not voluntary fees, right, your mandatory fees. This is available on our GSO website under forms. If you're, I don't know, if it's about that, here you go. If it's something ideological, I get that too. I know that there have been a lot of things said and whispered, and I read the write-up in the Pipe Dream, and I actually really liked it and thought it was well formed. So I'd like to hear, I mean, I'm just presenting you guys the facts that I have, so, and offering, I think, a chance to speak and give you this official information. I would like to say, let's talk now openly and nicely, formally. Yes.
That's one point of clarification. The last time we were talking about this ESO package described on the ballot.
Right.
What was, I guess what everybody said last time was that the full fee of $65 was paid for the prorated rate absent of actual ballots. As one reason why the election results may be tested. So what's described here is the activity is not what you're about.
Yes, that's correct. No numeration, no, I'm not sure your math terms, no numbers, dollar figures were ever listed on the ballot, and I'm not sure if that would help edify the situation. When I presented the problems from that ballot point, I was presenting to you a collection of things that were sent to me formally as the elections officer, right? So you should count those as free from interpretation. I understand this idea that we've done something undemocratic here, but I was here and I presented this information in a past week in memory, right? And then a senator, and it's in the minutes, I'm not sure whom anymore, a senator motioned for things, and then there was a motion to recast this ballot point, right? And then we all voted democratically to do that. We can talk philosophy if you want all day, but
What vote surpasses? I mean, I said like vote of general board surpasses vote of the Senate. I mean, come on. Like vote of the Senate is secondary by definition to vote of general board of graduate students of general assembly, just like votes and stuff like that. So,
sure.
I mean, I question legitimacy of all kind of this procedure. I mean, you can't do it in democracy. I mean, like, essentially what you are doing, like, what is the limit of this procedure? So how long will you be vote until you get to choose the result you vote? And the second question is, I kind of think about how you count this result. So why do you put an answered question as a percentage? I mean, why do you put
because in our bylaws it states that all spoiled ballot points are counting as abstentions. So anything that was unanswered, it says that if you, I should have put that on the handout. If you unanswered or have a flaw in the ballot, then it's simply unanswered. It's section E in our bylaws. I remember that it's. Can someone find it? I like the language of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on, before we continue, can you just tell us your name and the department?
Political science, Evgeny Sedashov.
Okay.
Okay, oh no, then it's in the Constitution.
Did you sign this?
Yeah.
So, name and your department.
Okay, hi, I'm Catherine Phelps from Twitter Science. So, in regards to the concern about whether the numbers were on there in the formulation of the question, my understanding from being through this 4 years ago, and again 2 years ago when this whole thing went around, was that the exact wording was given to you by the board of trustees or something, like it came from above, and that was actually the reason they used to rerun it the first time I was here. I can't say it was the first time ever, because based on what I've observed, this happens every time. But that was the reason that they gave for rerunning it. And then 2 years ago, again, when they actually used that proper wording, which was the validation reason they gave for rerunning it 4 years ago, Then suddenly people were not capable of understanding this despite having graduate degrees. But my point is that I don't think that you can make that as an argument for rerunning it if that's already given to you, the exact wording. I spoke with the election officer around 4 years ago, and that was the reason that she was given to rerun the election.
Sure, two things very quickly. One, the wording was mandatory, voluntary, and then like it was misworded.
The wording of the question, like that.
It was exactly right. Did you this time?
No, I know that it's given, so if you.
It was given, it was still somehow inverted on the ballot point 1. 2, the reason for the recast isn't that, the reason for the recast is that someone motioned and Senate voted. If we're looking for cause.
Okay, so we're not arguing there was actually anything wrong.
No, I'm presenting to you that is what happened. It was an inverted structure. I don't know if that is enough for revote as elections officer.
Okay, so can one senator?
Wait, hold on, we have hands up.
Motion to vote for the actual results, and then if someone opposes that and actually wants to ignore the democratic opinion of all fucking graduate students, then please defend why.
Okay,
Seriously, I mean, come
hold
this
on, your
outrageous.
hand is not up. We're gonna go in order here. Do you wanna continue, or do you wanna move on to Patrick here?
Let's move on to Patrick.
Okay, technical question.
Yeah.
The percentages on the student activity fee referendum on the paper that you printed out add up to about 97%.
90 if you round up.
Right.
If I round up like 0.999%. But, yeah, but normal rounding rules, they add up to 97. So is there a typo, or were 3% of votes not included in this list for any reason?
On which one?
The mandatory voluntary.
The final one.
And that, you guys are sort of helping the Senate's cause, which is, that obfuscates the reasonable outcome anyway, but,
Well, I mean, if there was a typo.
I will have to check, I will have to check and see what happened with that.
Not with the margins of error, it doesn't actually
Yes.
substantiate because of.
Oh, okay, no, no, no.
Yeah, because it's still,
still
even
the
with
last
the 3%, it's.
So what are you asking me?
We're the missing 2 to 3%.
Okay. To let them vet, and then we'll move on to something more. Yeah, the dates are also on here for the reballot, which is, or the revote, which is going to be April 14th through 15th on Blackboard, again, so.
And is an email gonna go out to the whole student body?
Absolutely, well, not the whole student body, the GSO, newsletter will go out. All graduates are a whole student body, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it is so easy to sort of put voluntary on the revote, why couldn't you put, like, for example, constitutional amendment on the general voting? So amount of revotes in the next elections will be limited to like to 0. So basically there will be no revotes anymore in the future. I mean, like every time, every second year, this issue arises. I suggest, I mean, like, why not eliminate it? Put a constitutional amendment and limit it by 1. So like it is done in democracy. So basically,
I would urge.
I'm glad you're a suggestion.
Deal with it. This is how democracy works. I mean, if politicians lose elections, well, you know, bad for them. But
So I would say that you and your constituents should join the GSO and the committees to participate. I know Patrick is probably the only one of you here that actually participates.
Not really the point though, right?
Yeah, but it is the point. It is the point.
Next one, Shara.
Yeah, look, I mean, the reason I think this is not democratic, like 2 years ago, I argued the same thing, was that people, it's not about just the wording, it's that grad students are busy with their lives and they don't really understand what's going on. It's partially... Look, man, like... Look, tackling like hyenas is not going to make your point or convince anyone, so please stop.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like, the simple point is this, that every time there's a revote, mandatory goes through because then we actually tell the people what's going on, they understand what's going on. If the second vote would have never worked if people actually understood to begin with what exactly voluntary and mandatory meant. The reason you guys are so nervous right now is because you know once the students find out what it means, they're gonna vote mandatory like they always have. That inherently means that there is an information deficit. The first time the vote is taken, there's an information deficit. Very
So are you
basic.
saying
It's that
this is
simple.
why every
People don't know.
Somebody had their hand up.
Guys.
I mean,
Everyone, please respect
So
the order
is
of this
your
meeting.
opinion-
Wait, do you have been?
Jeremy, hold on, just
I
one,
mean, it's-
Jeremy, hold on, just 1 second, we'll get to you next.
For those guests, if you cannot respect the order of this meeting, we will have to ask you to leave. Whoever would like to speak, please have your hands up first.
So, this year in particular, the executive board spent significant amounts of time and effort as you describe it, educating the student body on the voluntary mandatory fee. There were speeches, there was emails, there was, I believe, there was a pro and con statement in the,
Not from E-board or officials, but perhaps from department, several staff.
okay. So what, is this just a failure of these educational efforts? What do you constitute is sufficient education? That's the crux that you were making it, and it seems to me that holding another vote a week later doesn't give you more information education on this if, as you've said, as the e-board and as department subgroups have made their points about what voluntary mandatory has been over the past 3 or 4 months. So what's the failing of these efforts in your mind?
Is that a rhetorical question, or do you want me to answer it?
Yeah, do you want the truth?
Yeah.
We've been talking about process, which actually, I don't really know why we're having this conversation, frankly. Because I agree with your first statement that you made. The reason why we're having a revote is because this body voted to have a revote. That is the only reason necessary within the Constitution. If you don't like the Constitution, change it.
Because it's not representing, it's a table of people.
Please.
Sorry, and I spoke.
You need to have your hand up first
Thank you,
before
thank you,
you
I
say
appreciate
something.
that. So I just want to talk less about process because this is actually a really moot argument that's being made. There's a lot of heat, and there's a lot of smoke, but there's frankly, no substance that's happening here. And so I just want to step back a little bit and talk about, when we talk about the fee, what we actually do. So if you're registered for 1 credit, as I am, you pay $7.25 per semester. If you pay, and before I was paying $7.25, I was paying the $65 a semester, pay $130 a year. Okay. So with that constitutes 7% of the mandatory fee we pay. It's $930 a year we pay in mandatory fees. It's the only 7% we get any say at all over how our money is spent. Out of the money that we spend to this body, I get a lot of benefits out of it. I ride the bus, I like the bus, I'm glad the bus is there. It's much cheaper than paying per fee. It's much cheaper, and I get access to different bus services. It's great when my car dies, as it does happen, right? Furthermore, this year in particular, the GSO body has gone out of its way to support the equal pay for equal work campaign for PhD students. Most departments on this campus, every student that is a TA or GA will be seeing $1,000 more next year than they were this year. At least. Every person in this room has access to $400 in travel funds. In my first 2 years, right, when I was paying like a lot more money, I didn't go to conferences. Now that I'm farther along, I go to conferences, and that's really, really helpful. Especially as my TA line has. So I just wanted to note that.
I'd like to just
Hold on, he's still speaking.
Yeah.
I just wanted to note that that's the reason why I support the mandatory fee. I think that I get a lot out of it. I think that we as a student body get a lot out of it. We wouldn't have this argument, we wouldn't be having any of these arguments, I wouldn't be seeing any of you if we didn't have a mandatory fee break.
Exactly.
It
unites us as one body without.
I just want to put that out there so we can stop having
Yeah, let's
ridiculous
go.
and petty conversation about process.
Okay, thank you. After Andy, Patrick, and, sorry, what's your name? Yeah, Patrick first and you, and Marissa.
Okay, can I get my video on here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Alright, I'm gonna cut off the beginning, like 45 seconds of the video because it's just text explaining the voting situation. And since we all know what's going on, I can skip that part. So I made this video because I disagree with the Senate's decision, and I think that decisions like this give the Senate and the GSO a bad reputation and kind of.
Hold on, Patrick, hold on.
Well, if you're really representing us, to listen.
I think we should let them play the video.
We are gonna, but Patrick, can you kind of contextualize this a little bit?
Right, okay, so I made this video of several graduate students talking about some of their opinions on the Senate's decision to hold a revote on this issue. And it's my personal opinion that when the Senate does things like this, it gives the GSO a bad reputation, and it makes the GSO appear corrupt, especially since, money is involved here, okay? And I personally am interested in making the GSO better. As Ben said, I'm involved, I'm in the CBC committee, so I want to see the GSO be made better. And I think that the Senate overruling people just makes the GSO worse. And I will also say there's been a lot of people saying that there's not enough information around. Everyone I talked to when I made this video was aware of the issues. People in my department were aware of the fact that the activity is prorated if you're ADD. They were aware that, cafe funds and travel funds would be gone if the fee was voluntary. So there are a lot of students on this campus who are very informed. I will play the video.
My name is Chris Amujo, and I voted on the GSO student activity record. My vote didn't count. My name is Chris Amujo. I voted for Minnesota and my vote didn't count.
My name is Rachel, and I voted in the GSO student activity fee referendum, and my vote did not count.
My name is Ryan Grimes, and my vote didn't count.
My name is Anwich. This is the first time that I vote to make the GSO fee voluntary. My vote didn't count.
My name is Christina Nelson, and my vote didn't count.
My name is Tiffany Turpin, and my vote did not count.
My name is Mauricio, my vote didn't count. They say my vote is a vote of ignorance, so my vote didn't count, and my vote didn't count.
My name is Emma McNulty, and my vote didn't count.